Welcome, everyone, to Off the Mat, your new wrestling obsession. I think we got a great show for you tonight. We got a lot to talk about. Of course, we're going to talk about the homicidal, the genocidal, the suicidal Sabu and his passing. We're going to talk about Joey Janela and his remarks about his last match with Sabu at GCW, Joey Janela's spring breakout. And we're going to talk about our recap of Saturday's wrestling, plus all of our wrestling throughout the week. But I wouldn't be remiss if we didn't start out by saying what's up to our panel. Dom, Styx, how are you boys this evening?
Good, man. Had a very busy week. There was a very busy week in wrestling, and it's sad that Sabu died. You know, he was an icon of ECW and wrestling alike. You know, and he was young too, only 60 years old, man. That's young in standards of quality of life now. But and just to go figure, he had his last match, WrestleMania weekend, and kind of sad. That's really sad. We move on, man.
Styx?
Things are going good this week for me. I'm a little tired tonight. I've been driving today, back and forth from college, but I'm ready to go. Let's talk some wrestling.
That's right. Styx is the oldest college student.
Yep.
Well,
never stop learning.
Start tonight talking about Sabu and kind of remembering Sabu a little bit. When were you guys first introduced to the world of ECW and Sabu?
Oh man. When friggin' Extreme Wrestling began, man. You watched how crazy these bastards were. Jumping off friggin' banisters and barbed wire fire matches, crazy ass chair, like double chair shots, falling through tables, 15 feet, 10 feet up in the air, whatever they used, just nuts. But just watching him as a wrestling guy, it's a nut. He was a nut, just craziness, man. But it was fun. That's why it was Extreme Wrestling, man. Yeah, just when ECW first premiered, I was hooked on that craziness. I was like, when they were throwing people throwing people into the fans and all that stuff like that, and women were getting beat up by the guys. It was nuts. Yeah. It was fun times, man. But
yeah, I think ECW was my longer introduction to Sabu. I remember him in a couple things prior. I can't recall what he did prior, but I know there was something he was in prior to ECW.
He was in Japan. He did a lot of stuff in Japan.
You see that later on.
Stuff in Japan. But the ECW, I really remember him in there when he came in. I remember knowing who he was when he debuted there. So, to say he's an innovator in that hardcore wrestling is kind of an understatement for what they did, for all those OG ECW guys did at that time.
Yeah, my introduction to ECW in a lot of ways, because ECW was very much a Pennsylvania, Philadelphia only thing. And so I was introduced, it was what got me back into pro wrestling. My dad watched wrestling when I was a kid, so I grew up on Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper, Bret Hart, Dusty Rhodes, the name goes on. But I got out of it. And in the late or early 90s, I kind of got back in, and I was reintroduced to it through ECW, through a friend of mine who had a cousin in Pennsylvania who would tape it, and he sent him the tapes. So it was like always this underground thing until later on.
Tape trading, how nice.
Yeah, until later on we got the first ECW pay-per-view, Barely Legal, in 97, which I watched, which saw a spectacular Taz versus Sabu match to culminate the year-long just Taz hunting Sabu. But even when they did the crossover in the 90s on WWF, and Sabu jumped on Taz from the R and or the A and Raw.
Yep.
And it's just his wars with Rob Van Dam. So when they came on TNT, not TNT, TNN later in the 90s or 99, 2000s, that's when it became a little bit more mainstream. But like that was the word of mouth growing up at that time of ECW with the Dudleys and Taz, Sabu, Rob Van Dam, Tommy Dreamer,
Sandman. Yep.
Jericho, and the list goes on and on.
Yep.
On.
The Hammerstein Ballroom had a match where back in the day when they had the Hammerstein Ballroom thing, ECW from there, and that was crazy there too back in the day.
His barbed wire match with Terry Funk, where he literally rips his bicep open and he just tapes it shut mid-match.
Freaking nuts.
Yep.
That's why we Extreme Wrestling, man. Paul Heyman mastermind behind it, man.
Man. Both those guys just tore it up at that back.
Listen, let me tell you something. They did not have any respect for the human body. And that was the beauty of Sabu is he was an innovator. Yep. And the way Seth Rollins says that he's an innovator, Sabu was literally an innovator. He perfected today's style wrestling in 2025 back in 1990. Yep. He didn't care about his body. He didn't try to land gracefully. He used his body as a weapon, flinging his body off people. When he would set a chair up in the ring, hit the ropes, jump off the chair, and put a dude through the table. Mm-hmm. He didn't care. He'd come crashing down, and he made it still look so artistic and graceful. Yep.
Like you can't. When him and Rob Van Dam won the tag team titles from Hayabusa at Heatwave in '98, his legendary tag team match, when he left Taz high and dry to leave ECW and go back to Japan, which started that whole feud, which saw Taz just running roughshod through all of ECW, unbeaten, calling out Sabu until they finally came, met up at Barely Legal 97, which saw Taz make Sabu tap out. And then Sabu turned and attacked Taz and put him through a table. And Rob Van Dam beat up Taz. I don't think you have professional wrestling as we know it today
if it wasn't for them.
If it wasn't for them.
Them, and especially Sabu. This is a shame, you think about it. That makes you really think about life in general, man. These guys definitely, put their bodies and life really on the line to entertain us, and to get the enjoyment of watching what they do. We should be really enjoying these moments because tomorrow is not promised. We all know that tomorrow's not promised, and life is short. And what these guys are doing to entertain us, to take our minds off of all the crap and bullshit that's going on in the world, just to watch these dudes torture themselves for us to cheer, throw people through tables, through glass, through barbed wire, you name it, just to get a cheer from us. So we should enjoy these moments, and like father and son, before that, and the sons that grow up now have kids, generation after generation, man. We should be very happy that we have this, and it may not be what it was, but it's still there, and we should enjoy and embrace wherever we have, because, like I said, life is short. Just enjoy these moments.
He even had a good match with John Cena at Vengeance in 2006.
Yep.
You got to remember, when you think of Sabu, he wasn't just about crazy spots. He had this aura, this silent intensity about him. Like, he didn't need to cut promos to make you believe he was willing to go to any extremes in any match. He was scarred all over his body. He had those wild eyes. He just launched himself off anything and everything just to tell the story. So
he would be missed. He definitely will be missed as professional wrestler as a person, and just,
Yeah.
Well, look, we got tapes, we got video. The legend lives on, man. We'll.
Yeah, if you're watching this and maybe you're new to wrestling or you're younger and you're not really familiar with Sabu, I beg you to go back and watch Barely Legal 97, his match with that. You need to go back and watch that whole feud, because we talk on this show about long-term booking, and that feud was a masterclass in long-term storytelling. It involved everybody.
It was over a year, wasn't it?
It was over a year long. Yes.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
They can't even get 3 weeks out of a booking.
Well, listen, the Bloodline storyline lasted for a long time, so
that was their best storyline, and they cut it
a long time, yeah. And they prematurely cut it, which kind of sucks.
Well,
because it could have lasted a little bit longer, but definitely will be missed, and definitely, if you are like Matt just said, if you're gonna go back and watch his greatest fights, his greatest matches, man, and that year-long feud with Cortez.
I believe most of it's on Peacock.
And and if you want to see peak, you got to watch the Born to Wire match with Terry Funk.
Yep.
Where they replaced the ropes with barbed wire. Sabu rips his arm open. It's insanity, which really makes you, like I said, really makes you appreciate Sabu and that style of wrestling and how innovative it was for the time. And they just don't make them like Sabu anymore. And maybe, that's probably a good thing, especially for like paramedics. But for the fans who crave that raw, untamed energy, we'll always remember that the homicidal, suicidal, genocidal, death-defying maniac that is Sabu will live on in the halls of pro wrestling. Because when you think hardcore pro wrestling, there's 3 names that come to mind for me anyway. I don't know about you guys. Terry Funk, Mick Foley, Sabu.
Yep. Definitely.
He will be greatly missed. Here's some cheers for Sabu. Some chants. All right, boys. So, with that Sabu news, talking about that leads me into the top story. So what do you say we get into a little bit of?
You sound a little muffled.
Your modulation is going again.
I'm muffling again.
Yeah. Now you sound better now.
Okay, I sound better now. All right. I wonder if it's. I gotta tighten this. Let me see if I tighten this down. If it sounds better. All right. What do you guys say we get into a little bit of news?
Let's do it.
Breaking news! We got a clash! Wrestling ring about to blast in the arena when legends rise. Feeling the heat, Nick knows the vibes. Slam this story coming your way.
All right, and our top story tonight is in fact Joey Janela, who faced off against Sabu at GCW's Joey Janela Spring Breakout during WrestleMania 41 weekend. He kind of went on a little bit of a Twitter rant there. During an interview, Janela recalled that Sabu's knee locked up on him 2 hours before the show, and he was reportedly given Crotum, if I'm saying that right, a legal in some states stimulant often used for pain relief and energy, Janela said. He said, I was fairly confident he was fine. His team said he was training, hitting the gym. Then 2 hours before the show, I get a call. Sabu can't walk. They told me his knees locked up and his feet were bleeding. He wasn't coming. I thought Sabu's fucked. We've even considered Matt Tremont as a replacement. It was going to be the most embarrassing moment of my career. 2,000 fans, our biggest spring break yet. And I have to announce that Sabu, his own retirement match, won't be there. Eventually, they gave him something called Crotum, and buy it at a smoke shop. You can buy it at a smoke shop. It's like a legal opioid. Suddenly, I hear he's jumping on and off the bed, ready to go. He showed up 2 hours into the show, completely out of it, but the match happened, and it was surreal. I don't know if any of you watched that match, but there's at one point there's a scary spot where Sabu like trips over a barbed wire rope and goes face first into a bunch of barbed wire. And there's also another one where he dives and goes head first onto the concrete.
Damn.
And Janela essentially said in this interview that he was knocked out, and when Sandman comes out, that's when he kind of snaps too, but he kind of walks that back later. He says after the interview was published on Monday, Janela faced backlash from fans questioning why that match went ahead. He responded via Twitter, issuing a series of statements. He said, we didn't give him Crotum, his team did. It's not illegal, and 85% of pro wrestlers use it, especially on TV. So fuck you, he said. Sabu was a grown man. He did what he had to do. I took care of him the best I could. The goal was to give him one last payday and a final spotlight. That night wasn't about me. It was about Sabu. I wouldn't change a thing. His friends and family were thrilled with what we did. Again, fuck you and kiss my ass. People use Crotum to get off pills. I didn't give him anything. I'd shoot him up. I didn't shoot him up or spike his drink. I'm truly devastated. Crotum helped him stay off of other substances. He loved weed and Crotum. His body was wrecked from 40 years of wrestling.
Yeah.
He went on to clarify his knockout comment. He said, I don't know what happened weeks later. I was trying to add to Sabu's lore. He was my idol and my friend. I just wanted to give him and the fans one last great spectacle. I'm sorry for lashing out, but your tweets caused a snowball effect with people saying I'm partially responsible for his friend's death and was fine afterwards. He signed at WrestleCon the next day and did several appearances. I don't know the cause of death, but I'm glad he went out on top. And again, we don't know the cause of Sabu's death. We need to make sure that's made specifically clear. Don't blame Joey Janela for this. Like that match, if anything, it sounds like, I don't know where to place blame, but the way Joey Janela puts it, it sounds like it should be on maybe Sabu's people for even
doing that,
shooting him up to get him in that match.
Well, look, his knees were locking up and he was bleeding from his feet. If you really think about it, that apparently his body was telling him not to fight, not to go through the match. And
right.
you give a substance that does help, but sometimes there's side effects on things that actually do help, which suck. That's the way things are. You know, every medication you take from something, it makes something else happen, and it's unfortunate. Hopefully, you know, we'll find out soon, if we ever find out, if they do release the reports. But the fans, man, you know, the fans are very harsh when it comes to a lot of things. They want the entertainment, then they get mad if the entertainment sucks. Then they get mad for this, they get mad for that, they get mad for everything. You know, you can't make them happy, and that's with every medium in life. There's always the fans are always complaining about something. You know?
Well, and in Janela's defense, I don't think he knew when he set up that spot that, you know, Sabu was gonna gun it like that. But he's Sabu. He's gonna do what he's got to do, and do it to the most of his ability and the craziest he can to put on a show and make it a spectacle. And things just didn't work out. And there's no signs that this match killed him. No,
well, he hit his face in barbed wire. His head hit concrete. They gave it a bunch of other things. His body, 40 years of destroying your body goes a long way. It doesn't happen overnight. You know, throughout year. Look at Mick Foley. Mick Foley is how old? Mick Foley?
I think he's in his
50s?
Is he in his 60s yet,
or something.
All
I know is that Mick Foley's walking like an 80-year-old man. You know,
Mick Foley's been walking like an 80-year-old man since the 90s, though.
I know. That's the thing. You know, it's a constant abuse of the body.
Mick Foley is 59 years old.
Yeah, he was never the same after getting chucked off the Hell in a Cell by Undertaker.
And his 2
split would be.
Yeah, you know. Hey, look. You know that most of these wrestlers live on painkillers because their bodies definitely hurt them. You know, they never heal. They never heal. You're always constant pain for the abuse they put their bodies through. So you don't know. You don't know because he did like weed, and weed doesn't do it. Weed, it's more of a relaxing to relax the muscles. You know, but other than that,
Well, you don't know if he had a heart attack in his sleep. We don't know if maybe like Bob Saget, he hit his head and the damage was there and he didn't feel it, and maybe he had a brain bleed, or I don't want to speculate on what the cause of death was, but I just want to reiterate, we don't know what the cause of death is, so we can't put it and pinpoint it on one person. I know that's the first thing we want to do is go looking to blame people, and that's kind of what happened here is people started blaming Joey Janela for this, but this isn't Joey Janela's fault.
Nope, it's not.
Yeah.
So my condolences go out to Sabu's family and the wrestling community, because it's a terrible thing that we lost such an icon. But again, don't point at Joey Janela. It's not his fault. Until we know what happened, until they come out and definitively say it was due to head trauma, whatever, then at that point, I think you blame his people for shooting him up. You don't even blame Joey Janela for that stuff there. There had to be some sort of doctors. Like, does GCW not have doctors that have to clear you? If they're coming to you saying, look, man, Sabu's knees are locked up. He's bleeding from his feet. He can't go. He can't even get out of bed. And then 2 hours later, he's over there jumping around, acting all crazy. You would think that the doctors would have to clear him for that match.
Exactly.
Right.
So there's just like something missed here. Who knows? But we don't even know if anything from the match. He could have had a heart attack in his sleep. It could have been anything. He could have had an aneurysm. It could have been anything. So hopefully we find out what his cause of death was, and especially for the sake of Joey Janela, that maybe that some of that heat can come off of him. But again, I don't point fingers at Joey Janela at all. I don't think any of the rest of the IWC should until we find out. Let's just wait until we find out exactly what happened before we want to go after blood for anybody. All right. Moving on from Joey Janela, we move on to Jim Ross. And it was announced shortly before we went live that Jim Ross has been diagnosed with colon cancer. And our thoughts go out to Jim Ross, WWE Hall of Famer and AEW broadcaster. Jim Ross has shared that he is battling colon cancer and his latest health setback from the commentary icon. On Twitter, Ross shared his unfortunate update. Diagnosed this week with colon cancer. Surgery begins scheduled in the next 2 weeks. I appreciate your concerns and support. This is JR kind of got taken out of commentary due to his health issues. I want to say he had palsy, which froze half of his face when he was still with WWE. Got over that. Then in 2001, he shared that he had skin cancer. And then in December that year, he was cancer-free. And then in February 2024, he shared that he underwent successful cancer surgery removal from his right hip. So he's kind of just been, battling this. So our thoughts go out to JR and hope that he's able to beat this and makes a speedy recovery and can potentially call a couple more matches before he hangs it up for good.
Oh boy.
From JR, we move on to WWE, and WWE has no plans for Cena versus Punk at Money in the Bank. While PW Insider Elite says that WWE doesn't plan to revisit the John Cena CM Punk rivalry at the event where they had their most famous match, Money in the Bank, they do want to do Punk versus Cena at some point this year when the time is right.
Well,
do you wait until Punk? Do you potentially put the World Heavyweight Championship on Punk so he can go against Cena, so they can go champion for champion?
Listen, this is what's going to happen. So you have this weekend, the end of the month, you have Saturday Night Main Event, and you have Battleground. You're going to have the draft, which is I think starting that Raw, going to SmackDown. Possibly they're saying that Punk might be going to SmackDown. If that's the case, as a Money in the Bank type of situation, you really want to ruin wrestling? John Cena inserts himself into the Money in the Bank and wins the Money in the Bank, so nobody can win his belt.
Okay,
that's actually a solid. That's actually a solid idea.
But I have to thank my nephew for that. My nephew was telling me that. We were talking yesterday. So my nephew, shout out to my nephew Nico for that bit of news. That would ruin wrestling right there. Wrestling, look, everybody's complaining about the whole John Cena thing. But you know what? If you really think about it, he did say nobody gets anything, nothing and he's ruining wrestling on purpose. So that's part. If you really think about it, it's part of the storyline. If you really put it in perspective, people are saying it may not be the storyline that people want, but I think, even though the Rock situation, it's basically he is making wrestling boring because his dumbass coming out, freaking holding this thing, putting it behind his head on the mat, giving the ring announcer something to say, and doing stupid things. But yes, that would ruin wrestling if he goes and inserts himself into Money in the Bank and wins Money in the Bank, takes it away from an opportunist so he can have it. So you're not getting my belt, and that would be funny though too. They should do something like that.
I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised if they announce the draft tomorrow night on SmackDown, and have it start Monday or next Friday, and we have the draft because Raw is here in Phoenix on June 6th, and locally, I don't know if they're pushed out nationally yet. I don't know if you guys see it, but locally, John Cena is being advertised as being on that Raw on January 6th. So, or not January, June 6th. So I wonder if he gets drafted as Raw, and if the draft happens before Money in the Bank.
But I don't think he's going to get drafted. You know what? I think if you're a champion, you can go to each show. That's, if I'm not mistaken, they put that back in play. The champions can travel back and forth.
Yeah, it's not like it's a Raw championship or a SmackDown.
But CM Punk, they were saying that there's a possibility of him going to SmackDown.
I don't think so. I think he was part of that Netflix deal. Netflix wants. I think this is where we're going to set the Netflix.
Oh, I'm sure Netflix wants him.
We're going to set the roster that Netflix was promised when they signed this $1 billion deal, and they're going to do it through the draft. So Punk's going to stay on Raw. I think that's where Roman Reigns is going to officially be brought over to Raw, even though we're not going to see Roman Reigns probably till SummerSlam, because this is his vacation season. I'm sure Cody Rhodes will be brought to Raw. Jey Uso will probably go to SmackDown.
You're going to have a lot of NXT call-ups. They're talking about that. So,
especially in the women's division. Apparently, like what we've been talking about for weeks now, is that the Raw women's division is very weak. WWE has seemingly acknowledged that, at least behind the scenes. And there's going to be a lot of NXT call-ups. I think that's when we're going to officially get the Stephanie Vakir call-up. We're going to get a couple other women called up to
Lola Vice. Lola Vice is getting called up. Maybe Jada Parker.
I've not heard. Jada Parker is one name I have not heard. I have heard Lola Vice. I've heard a couple others, but Jada Parker is not one that I've heard.
And speaking about Stephanie Vakir, you heard who she's dating, supposedly dating now?
Little Randy Orton.
Pain in the ass, man. Why? Here I am, right here, and
you're married, Dom. You're married. Actually, he's married too. Apparently, he's married too, and it is what it is. But good for him, man.
Yeah, you know what? Good for him. He
love. You can't complain. Look at Lyra Valkyria's husband.
I know, but yeah,
or a fiance. I was laughing because I was watching shout out to JD from NYC. I was watching his recap of Backlash last weekend after we went off the air, and I was like a little frustrated, so I went to the gym to get my workout in, and he said, they showed a shot of Lyra Valkyria's fiance in the crowd. If that doesn't show your basic ass that anything is possible and to shoot for the stars and always shoot your shot, I don't know what does, because he looked like a geek.
Hey, he was like a 90s grunge guy.
So good for him, man. Good for him for taking that shot. But what are you going to do? Good for Stephanie. I mean, she's been through hell in her past relationship, which we won't even talk about.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But from John Cena and CM Punk, we have an update on the potential return of Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes has been absent from WWE television since his unexpected loss to John Cena at WrestleMania 41, but his return may be just around the corner. According to this week's recent WrestleVotes Q&A, Rhodes is expected to be involved in the upcoming WWE Money in the Bank 2025 pay-per-view event set for June 7th at the Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles, California, the report states. I do believe that he's still scheduled to be a part of the Money in the Bank show. I don't know if he's wrestling or if that's when his return will take place, but as far as I know, he'll be in Los Angeles for that PLE. Fueling speculations further, Rhodes is being locally advertised for the May 16th edition of SmackDown. However, WWE has yet to officially confirm his appearance, given that Rhodes has previously been pulled from other advertising dates during his hiatus. The exact timing of his comeback remains uncertain.
All right, yeah. I can see that. Money in the Bank. That's where everybody's going to come back, just about, because I can definitely see a lot of contenders are going to be in the Money in the Bank. And his name should be in Money in the Bank. It makes sense.
It's that behind the scenes reports, it's picking up heat that Cody Rhodes and Bad Bunny versus John Cena and Travis Scott is on the card to take place at Money in the Bank 2025. So I don't know how quickly they're going to have to try to put that together over the next couple of weeks. But that looks like what they're rolling with for Money in the Bank.
Bad Bunny, man. Really, man? But I got to admit, he did put on a good show with.
I thought he did great in the Puerto Rico show.
Yeah, with Damian Priest, that was a great street fight. Yeah, it was.
I mean, he's really the only other guy they can get that's like ready to go. That's been in the ring. That's been in a match. That's a musician that could, square off against John Cena and Travis Scott. And apparently, Travis Scott's been training with Booker T. There's also a big rumor going around too, and I didn't want to put it in here because of the source. Like, I understand he's probably still connected with WWE, but apparently, according to Jonathan Coachman, he's heard that The Rock's going to be back by SummerSlam and be involved in this storyline again come SummerSlam. So who knows? I don't want it. I want The Rock to stay away. I've been saying it. I'm going to continue to say it. I want The Rock to stay away.
I kind of agree.
That kind of, I do agree, but he does bring something to the table when he comes in. Just his presence alone definitely does bring that feeling of like type of a moment. I know that he screwed up the storyline. Well, like I said, the storyline is what it is, but he comes back. Is it because of part of Paul Heyman's thing? Because is Paul Heyman still connected with The Rock? Is the whole thing that is the Paul Heyman's group, The Rock's doing? Well, we'll see. He does put asses in seats, man, and that's the whole thing too. That's what they want. But we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll be surprised on what happens. Hopefully, it's not another drinking with the enemy and saying you're the face of WWE.
I shared more Terramana shots with Cody Rhodes after he lost his belt. Terramana, drink Terramana, drink Terramana.
Well, by the
walk on the Rock. Get some guac on the Rock. I don't know if you guys have seen those going around social media.
Yeah.
For this month, guac on the Rock. But
Have not.
all right, that's all of our news stories for tonight. So this is the part of the show where we get in and recap the past week of pro wrestling. And we're going to start with last week's Friday Night SmackDown, move into our recap of Backlash. We'll see who won the Backlash game. We'll see who, if you guys' thoughts on Backlash have changed at all from our initial reactions when we went off during our live stream last Saturday, which was a bunch of fun. Thank you for everybody who watched. It was a good time.
Yep.
We'll see if you guys change that, and then we'll talk about Raw and NXT from this week, because I'm not even going to talk about AEW. When they have Ricochet wrestling a one-legged dude in AEW, I don't even want. I'm not even talking about that. AEW is
the one-leg clown. The one-leg clown.
So far gone. I don't even want to talk about AEW right now. So
yeah.
we're just going to stay away from AEW. And so we're going to move into SmackDown right after the intro for this segment.
Ignite tonight, wrestling fire burns so bright. And this review will show us true, breaking barriers, breaking through.
All right, so we're talking Friday Night SmackDown, the go-home show for Backlash from 5/9/2025 tonight. Our first match of the night was LA Knight and Damian Priest versus Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa, with LA Knight and Damian Priest picking up the win over Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. As they had a disagreement during the match, the babyfaces fought after the win, which gave Jacob Fatu the opportunity to take them out. As he celebrated with the U.S. title, Drew McIntyre blindsided him with a Claymore, and he takes the title and holds it high. Backstage, R-Truth shows his support for John Cena with the Let's Go Cena sign. Jimmy Uso tells him Cena sucks now, but Truth isn't having any of that. Which there was an interesting caveat to that added into the press conference, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre is asked why he took out Jacob Fatu. Well, first he sounds off about Damian Priest and him not deserving to be in the Fatal 4-Way at Backlash. As Fatu, he talked about him being all gas, no brakes, but that means he will eventually hit a wall, and that wall is your next U.S. champion. Aleister Black speaks in a recorded segment. He buried the guy who spoke in riddles. While doing so, he found the truth, and that was to return to this company to dish out consequences. He is here to confront everyone mentally and physically, and he has yet to figure out Carmelo Hayes.
Okay.
What's up, Joey? 1257. Backstage, Santos, and we got Zelina Vega and Aleister Black, husband and wife, versus Piper Niven and Chelsea Green with Alba Fire, with Vega in. Oh no, sorry, it wasn't Aleister Black. It was Alexa Bliss.
Alexa Bliss.
I don't know why I broke Aleister Black there.
It
was Zelina Vega. Yeah, Zelina Vega and Alexa Bliss versus Piper Niven and Chelsea Green with Alba Fire. Winner was Vega and Bliss.
Alba Fire.
Backstage, Santos Escobar tried having a word with Phoenix. He isn't interested, so Escobar and the rest of Legado del Fantasma beat him up.
Of course.
Then we had Charlotte Flair make her way to the ring to talk. She gave credit to herself for being out for nearly 2 years with an injury, only to return to take the champion to the limit at WrestleMania. Flair enjoyed her WrestleMania moment so much that she's here to declare her path back to the title.
And her dating Alex Rodriguez.
Yeah, nobody wants to see it, dude. Like, let it go. Let it go. There was a bunch of people out there talking about how she was dating her makeup artist.
Really?
People were going crazy because she posted a video of her in a car with him, and everyone was like, Charlotte Flair's new boyfriend, and and she came to social media and was like, no, that's my makeup artist. We're not dating.
Yeah. He's got to put her new face on every time.
Right. The fans boo Charlotte. And Charlotte becomes upset about the disrespect to the point she threatens to leave. They keep on disrespecting, so Charlotte drops the microphone and leaves. As she's doing so, Jade Cargill makes her entrance. There's a brief stare between those two. When Cargill gets to the ring, she gets a microphone to tell Charlotte that she had her chance, and now it's time she goes back to the back of the line. Charlotte Flair is leaving with Nick Aldis says unprofessional, and she's about to get in the car. The door is slammed shut by Alexa Bliss. She wants to talk.
Heating up the other women's division, which is good, pretty good in SmackDown.
Joe says, what were Janela's comments about Sabu's death? Do we need to know what it was yet, or if the bump he took a week ago was contribution? We went over that already. He just basically was defending himself and what happened at the match, saying he's not responsible, and we don't know his cause of death. And it could possibly be that bump he took was part of it, but we don't know anything for sure. So I don't want to speculate on what it could be until we know for sure. We saw WWE Women's Championship #1 contender match, Jade Cargill versus Nia Jax, with Nia Jax picking up the win after an assist from Naomi. Saw the Street Profits talk in ring. People have been talking because they put on the greatest TLC match of all time. That's debatable. They even used a prosthetic leg. No matter what happens, they will always walk out on top. Fraxium interrupts this to admire the best tag team in the game right now. Shawn Michaels gives them one direct command when they left NXT to seize any and every opportunity. Angelo Dawkins is puzzled. They have only won 2 matches, but what makes them think they deserve a title shot? Montez Ford wonders what the fans want to see. Nick Aldis appears to give Fraxium an opportunity to prove themselves by facing the Street Profits right now. You're welcome, Joe. No worries. Thanks for checking us out, man.
Thanks, man.
So we got the Street Profits versus Fraxium, with Fraxium picking up the win. Then we got Aleister Black versus Carmelo Hayes with The Miz, with Aleister Black picking up the win. Motor City Machine Guns congratulated Fraxium on their win. DIY appears from nowhere to take out Fraxium while telling them that all they did was take advantage of 2 hurt guys who went through TLC. What does that make them? Lowlives.
Yeah.
Then we had Andrade and Rey Fenix versus Los Garza with Santos Escobar. It's interesting that they're putting Andrade and Rey Fenix together instead of their feud they were supposed to have, but maybe this is leading to that feud.
Maybe.
Tensions boil over to where Berto leaves after being chastised for Santos Escobar from losing. John Cena arrives once again. He gets the announcers to give him a proper introduction. He has a bottle thrown at him midway. Did you guys see the video of the guy throwing the bottle?
The bottle. They got rid of the dude right away, man. They escorted his ass out right away.
After this action, Cena stopped the announcer, picked it up, shaked his head, and threw it out. Only then does the introduction reach its conclusion. John Cena says, "Tomorrow your childhood dies. The reason they are reduced to throwing empty bottles of beer is because they know how important Backlash is. They will do everything they can, just like Randy Orton, which is why he is nowhere here tonight. Don't boo him. He's smart. Randy is home with his family, preparing for the biggest moment of his career. The first time he wrestled Randy Orton almost 25 years ago. Since then, they have defined ruthless aggression. And whether you're young or old, you choose Randy Orton or you choose John Cena. Tomorrow is their last match. They only get to choose one more time. And if you're still a child, their childhood will die as well. The winner writes history. Randy Orton is a liar. The person he has lied to most over the years is himself." What'd you guys think of the promo from John Cena and Randy Orton on SmackDown, leading into our go home for Backlash?
It's all right. You know, it was pretty interesting. We know what happened to Backlash. You know, it's like I said, who came out? It wasn't Randy Orton who came out. You know, apparently it was it was
Shawn Spears.
Yep, Shawn Spears was the culprit in the hoodie. So you see, I like how they're really
Mark Spears.
You didn't see his face. You know,
Mark Spears. It was Mark Spears.
I really like that they inserting NXT people in the main rosters and stuff like that to see how they work out. Which they could be a total depletion of the brands, because now they got the AA, they got the the other wrestling brands they bought. You know, they could fill up the rosters with those guys and move people around. And like I said, they have the partnership with TNA. You know, they have a lot of things now, so you could see a lot of the guys from NXT and girls probably making their way onto the rosters. That's why they got rid of a lot of people. You know, it sucks. You know, you get rid of a lot of good people that were potentially good, but you know what? There's an open door policy where eventually potentially come back if they find the right story, the right fit for some of those guys and girls.
I don't think AAA guys are going to come to WWE.
No,
I think they're
not AAA guy. I think the AAA. I think they can fill them. They own. So I think there's a mixture. You can have a lot more volume now.
Yeah, but I think they're just going to try and primarily take over that Mexican market and try to get over CLL, and they're going to just give, like, I think we'll see AAA Mania on like Peacock or something like that this year. They're going to make it more mainstream, put it in front of people, but I think they're going to still keep it separate brands. Like, it's going to be Mexico, you know, that's going to stay Mexico, They're not going to.
I think it needs to stay separate too.
Yeah. Joe asks, what do you guys think of Hogan's new wrestling promotion? One of his signed amateur wrestlers was an Olympic gold medalist. Guy was arrested in prostitution sting. Rough year for the Hulkster. Yeah. Apparently they've got some big TV deal. I haven't seen if it's been announced yet. I think it's good. It's good for people who come out of wrestling at that collegiate level and they don't want to go to WWE or AEW. They don't want to go into sports entertainment or professional wrestling. They want to still do that freestyle form of wrestling on a professional level and get a payday for it, where there's no market for that right now. I think that's fantastic, and we'll see how it does. It's really going to just be, how do people take to it? Because the average like wrestling fan, I don't know if they're going to gravitate to watching that, amateur Olympic style wrestling without the theater and drama that you get with an AEW or a WWE or, the professional level. But we'll see. I think there's an untapped market for it, and at least gives these guys a payday. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw some of these, dudes who had that amateur wrestling background, like Gable Stevens, go back there and see what happens.
Someone asked today online, where do you think it's going to go? And if you recall my statement, I said that this league seemed like it was like a bar league.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I said, well, it'll probably end up on OTB.
Yeah.
You know what OTB is?
OTB is the horse racing.
It's off-track betting.
Off-track betting, yeah. It's funny.
Hold on. Joe asks, Hogan's the wrong guy for it. He has no amateur background. You need an Angle, Lesnar, or someone for it. Hogan doesn't fit it. I don't know. They do. They have the dude from UFC that's part of like training dudes in wrestling in UFC. I forget his name, but they do have a guy that's like really familiar with that amateur style wrestling. That is also their third member of that. So I think they're set
Hogan's just the face.
Yeah, he's just the name.
He's everybody knows Hogan's face for good or bad. So
as of late, mostly bad. But what were you going to say, Dom? I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was going to say with Hogan, it's another. He's trying to put out a wrestling promotion out there, and like I said, he's the backer of it. You get some other faces that will be the main face. But with Hogan's background right now, I know Hogan, had a lot of controversy backing him. The
bad press or something.
But it could work. But is there room for another promotion? There's always room. I know there's always room, but do you think right now it's the right time for a promotion? A new wrestling.
Well, even they say they're not looking to go up against WWE and AEW or TNA. So I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is going to be just getting it off the ground to whatever aspect it is.
He says, LOL, yeah, Hogan is in it for the money 100%. I love Hogan as well, all do, but he's a greedy bastard. Hogan's many things to a lot of people these days. That's all I can say about that, because
you see, Jeff Hardy was locked up again, drinking under the influence again.
Was he really?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
God. It happened. I found that yesterday. My nephew was.
Is that why he's not teaming with Matt Hardy?
Yeah.
He said, who are his competitors anyways? YouTubers. It's interesting to see why they're going for it. It's because there's no market for that. Like they're trying to get into an untapped market. They can't go into the pro wrestling business and compete with an AEW, New Japan, TNA, WWE. They would be, they would be on the equivalent level of like GCW or Ohio Valley Wrestling, OVA, or anything like that. Maybe even smaller than that. I don't think anybody would really care, even if Bischoff's there. So why not go to the untapped market where you can build and you can be the WWE of that market and give those people a place to go and give those real athletes money? And apparently they feel like there's people out there that are clamoring for it. I don't know how many there are, but apparently Bischoff and Hogan think they're there.
Yeah.
So
Jeff had a DWI in Canada years ago, so he can't go to Canada where their next pay-per-view is. That's why.
Oh, is that what it is?
That's why he's not.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. I thought that was.
Yeah, it had something to do with it. He can't go into Canada.
Yeah.
He's not allowed into Canada.
Huh.
I was gonna say he just wrestled on Thursday.
Yeah.
On Impact,
Rebellion.
So yeah.
Isn't he trying to get himself clean? He's definitely trying to get himself clean. So I kind of ended up messed up if he did that.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That had to do with the previous.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah.
All right. What'd you guys think of SmackDown? Give me your rating of this Go Home SmackDown for Backlash.
I give it a B plus.
Yeah.
Give it a B plus. It was okay.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Dom. At a B plus. It was good enough to push us into Backlash, but it wasn't a top week for them for SmackDown.
We are around the same age as you.
Not me. I'm a fucking speed limit. I'm
500 years old. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's true.
I've been watching wrestling since the WWE began, man. So I've been there since the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, you wait. So you've been there since what, the 2000s, or are you talking like WWF when they were still territory and WWW and
WWF when back when it first began, the promotion first began, like when we started first WrestleMania, all those things. So I've been around since that time. When Hulkamania first came into play, I was there. I was there. I was there.
I can remember when they were the WWF.
Yes, the WWF. You know, well,
way back in the 70s.
They took away the WWF because it was the Wildlife
World Wildlife Foundation.
Yeah, World Wildlife Foundation. Yeah.
He says the product and industry isn't the same today. Internet truly killed pro wrestling.
The internet, let me tell you something. The internet is a hit or miss, and it's pure gold, but it's also pure evil and pure ludicrousy, because what they put on there, it actually made wrestling go beyond what you thought wrestling could go, because of all the networks, all the satellites, it took it beyond, but also the negativity part with social media took it to a new level too. So
I think you have to blame people like The Rock too, who are part of this, that don't let you believe in kayfabe anymore. They kill it. They absolutely openly kill it, and they don't care. The business has changed. You just have to buy into it like you're watching a movie or a soap opera or a telenovela or whatever you want to call it, and be along for the ride. That's pretty much it. But I agree with Dom. SmackDown's B plus. I think they played it safe. I think they played it safer than usual, especially after Rey Mysterio was injured the SmackDown before WrestleMania. So they weren't going to take the chance of injuring any more superstars heading into Backlash. So it was just your basic go home SmackDown, nothing crazy. All right, then we get into Backlash. We did a live stream for Backlash. We watched it live with all you guys. Again, thank you everyone for joining us. We are almost a week removed from Backlash. Did your guys' opinions on Backlash change at all?
No.
Go ahead, Styx.
No, I'm going to stay the same, because I thought my initial thoughts were what it was. I thought it was not to say lackluster, but with no changes. It was just another Raw.
Yes, Cena did wrestle at Backlash. He wrestled Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. And he won. And for me, my opinion on Backlash changed. I think Backlash it's going to go down as a strong pay-per-view that nobody appreciated, I think. Other than the shenanigans in the heavyweight match with all the refs coming out and all that, like, take it or leave that. But this Backlash, if you really look at it, Backlash as a whole was much better than night one of WrestleMania. It really was. And I got to give it to Pat McAfee. I was a little hard the night that we watched that match. I was like, oh, that's stupid. But the more I think about it, and I actually went back and rewatched that match, good on Pat for hanging in there and doing the things he did.
Yep.
And taking the bumps and taking the flips and the chops and hanging in there with Gunther. Good on Pat McAfee. I really like Backlash. I think Backlash was a solid pay-per-view. It could have been a lot worse, but
you know, you're right. I'm actually with you, Matt, on the Backlash. It wasn't the best. It wasn't the worst. It was a pay-per-view that actually delivered on some occasions. The John Cena match with Randy Orton, yeah, you know, all the shenanigans that did happen, going back and forth with the referees, all that stuff, and then Randy Orton losing it and freaking RKOing everybody, and Nick Aldis yet again. So that's telling me that Nick Aldis is eventually going to get fed up with John Cena and say, listen, enough's enough, man.
You mean Randy Orton?
Randy Orton, yeah. What did I say? I said, sorry.
You said John Cena.
That's what I mean. Randy Orton. The whole thing, enough's enough. I think that's going to lead into that. I actually think that Nick Aldis is going to get drafted to SmackDown. I think they're going to change the GMs, and he's going to come to SmackDown at Raw.
He's going to demand to be traded because he's sick and tired of getting RKO'd.
Yeah, and I think Randy Orton is going to friggin' wind up coming to Raw too. They're going to bring him back to Raw.
Randy's just going to follow him like a case of the herpes now, huh?
Yeah, I know, right?
No matter where he goes.
But I think that match. Look, let me tell you something. The match that we least expected was actually the best match. Was the Becky Lynch and Viper Vicaria in freaking Vicaria's match, because we all thought that Becky was going to win.
Yep.
And
except for Styx.
I didn't know if it was a botch, because if at the end you look at the thing, if it was a botch or it was planned that way. But that was a shocking moment for the night, because we actually thought that she definitely was going to take it. So I know they got other plans probably. So we'll see what happens. You know, like I said, we did get a couple of, one or two surprises. You know, that happened.
I'll listen to Cornette's podcast every once in a while.
You know, we got the, Randy Orton RKOing R-Truth, and then getting and then Cena friggin' throwing him through a table at the press conference. I actually, like I said, I actually liked it a little bit better than I initially did when we were watching it. We were live casting it.
It was Lyra Valkyria, Joe.
Lyra, yeah.
Which is probably leading to, John Cena versus R-Truth for the championship at Saturday Night Main Event.
Yeah, they're talking about that. That's what they're mentioning right now. So should be interesting. So I gave it much more of a better view as the week went on, just to really take it into Summit. And you know what? Not for anything. Even though the match, the four-way match was kind of more grounded, it still was a pretty good match. It still was pretty good. Are we going to see the building of Solo's new team that's going to go up against Jacob Fatu?
I absolutely 100% think so.
Yeah.
Jeff Cobb is his new enforcer. Yeah.
New enforcer, yeah. So we'll see what happens, but it's very interesting, and I'm looking forward to that. Like, we might get another bloodline type of storyline moving in the future. So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't think the Becky win or loss was a botch. I've heard a lot of people saying and reiterating the thing I said last week in our prediction show, is that really WWE wanted to put some credibility behind that title. And so they felt like, even though Lyra was a workhorse and really defending that title, that title still didn't have credibility. Because Lyra hadn't beaten anybody.
Yeah,
really.
She's such a newcomer.
Yeah, she beat Dakota Kai and Ivy Nile a couple of times. So there really wasn't that credible victory under her belt for that title, and Becky gave her that. And Becky came out as a heel, and she killed it. She overperformed. She sold Lyra. She put Lyra over. She made Lyra look really good. And I think that's why they went with Becky. Like, Bayley probably wasn't going to excel in that position like Becky did. And so they gave some credibility to Lyra, who they really like and are really high on and really want to push. And I think we're still going to get Bayley versus Becky leading into the SummerSlam.
And Bayley had just come out. Well, not really just come off, but she has spent a lot of time with Damage Control being heel. And so maybe she just didn't want to go back to being heel just yet.
Nia Jax is still wrestling. She is on SmackDown.
And she just came back.
Get back.
Yep.
Back, baby.
All right, so let's get in.
Hey, really quick.
Go ahead.
Joe had mentioned Jim Cornette, and this is going to be the only time on this channel, maybe, that I'd be able to say that on the Jim Cornette show, brace yourself for this. They actually talked Doctor Who on Jim Cornette.
Oh podcast. No, they did. Jesus,
they did.
Uh-oh. Got a new fan. Looks like
they were talking. They were talking about
Styx
using
instantly
AI.
Subscribed.
Yeah, they were talking about.
He made 4 accounts so he could just subscribe 4 times.
They were talking about using AI to create older wrestling matches that they didn't have video for anymore because they were reading the Newsweek, the New York Times. I think it was New York Times article about Ian Levine. Ian Levine is the Doctor Who fan who put his entire fortune into recreating a lot of the old Doctor Who episodes that are lost. So they were talking about creating wrestling matches from yesteryear that no longer have video or things like that, and that's how that came up. So that's going to be the only Doctor Who talk you get on this channel.
I hope.
I hope.
All right, so let's review. Let's go over the points game. Styx, give us a quick refresher on how points were tallied.
So this pay-per-view was pretty basic. 10 points for a match, winner called, pinfall, or other. 10 points. Okay, and I'm going to reiterate that. 10 points per match for winner. They had to win, whether it be pinfall or other. 10 points for any extra call that you made.
Reiterating that for you, Dom, just in case you were wondering.
Well, actually, I'm reiterating it for Pete.
For Dom. Oh, okay. Well, and Dom. Because I think he's going to call you on some shenanigans here.
Hey, go ahead. Go ahead.
Look, I know I lost. I know I'm not the champion. I know that for a fact because some of the things I said.
This was a tough one because a lot of like we've mentioned that Becky, Vakira, everybody except for me, picked Becky to win. So,
listen, like
that's the only one. That's the only one I can lay claim to that I picked.
You want a championship that passes hands quicker than a case of the clap. You come to this channel off the mat because our championship just changes hands every PLE. So it says, nice talking to you all. Your live stream randomly showed up in the algorithm sub later. Thanks for watching, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man.
All right. So let's start off with the match we were just talking about. Women's Intercontinental Championship match. Lyra Valkyria retaining over Becky Lynch. Only Styx with the call in favor of Lyra.
Yeah.
I don't remember you calling Lyra. Dom, do you remember him calling Lyra?
I don't know, man. I'm kind of fuzzy. I can't go back that far. All I remember is talking about Doctor Who. I don't know. I think he did. I think he did. I think that was the one match he said that, and we're all like shaking our heads and it's all Becky. But
I know.
Yeah, everyone, and Matt will tell you, everyone said Becky's going to take the championship. They want the belt on Becky. I thought they would hold off a little bit and keep it on Lyra. And I think that's what the match kind of did. Matt, you're right on the money there. It made Lyra look strong, beating Becky. It was a strong match. So I think that's a good call on that part.
We got a shot of her boyfriend, which offered us all some comedic relief.
Hey, listen, you all have a shot. Somebody out there, you have a shot.
Relationships are built on hope.
There you go. You're right. Hey, it's true.
Dom, somewhere Dom was writing in his notebook, "Dear diary, there is still hope."
Yeah.
Grow out my hair.
Okay, here we go. Got it.
Laid down his head on the pillow and he said randomly to his wife, "Would you be open to being in a throuple?" Because Jada Parker is still available.
Well,
how is she still available?
I think she's with freaking Jey Uso, man, messing around with Jey Uso.
Nah, I don't think so. We haven't heard any more about that.
Available. She can't be available. I think that's wrong.
Listen, nobody's available. They're all dating somebody within the organization.
Exactly.
Outside the organization.
We just don't know sometimes. So, all right.
Let's let the crowd go wild and chant for Joe as our newest subscriber. We definitely appreciate that. Thank you so much
thank you, Joe.
for checking out Off the Mat. Next up, we had the Intercontinental Championship. Dominic Mysterio retained over Penta. Matt and Dom sticks with El Grande interference, plus called ending move Pete Dom with JD interference. So we all called this match.
Yeah.
Styx is just giving himself points on technicalities.
Hey, listen. When I rewatched that tape, I called the end of that match verbatim how I saw that match going. So,
I don't remember you calling El Grande Americano with a headbutt.
Yep. I said he was going to get up there, headbutt him, and
no, listen.
I said going to give them that frog splash.
Americano comes in. He came in at the last minute. That fight's coming. El Grande Americano versus Penta coming soon. Do it there near you.
Listen. That headbutt was horrible.
It was.
That was the worst headbutt I've ever seen. Yeah. Dom retained. It was a good match. It was a good match.
It was a good match.
It was a good match. It was.
Then we had the United States Championship Fatal 4-Way. Jack and Fatu retains and pins LA Knight, Damian Priest, and Drew McIntyre. Dom solo points. Matt and Styx winner. Solo points. Pete and Dub Fatu. It was a no-brainer that Jacob Fatu was winning this match. We all called that. Yeah. Then we had the Michael Cole redemption match. Pat McAfee defeated by Gunther. Panel plus Dub called Gunther with the win with Cole interference. Pete
didn't I call Gunther? I didn't say freaking McAfee was going to win.
No, nobody said McAfee was going to win. Everyone said McAfee was going to lose.
Yeah. The panel
and we all called Michael Cole interference too.
Yeah, we did. Yep.
I was disappointed that no Goldberg.
Yeah.
Nope, no Goldberg.
Well, apparently there's rumors that Goldberg is getting ready, so we might see him with SummerSlam. It might be a SummerSlam match.
Night of Champions, Saudi Arabia. I think that's what's going to happen.
Okay.
Because Night of Champions is at the end of next month. I think I was going to save it for the Raw stuff, but I think that's why we're going to get Jey Uso versus Gunther 5. Because Jey Uso's not losing to Logan Paul at Saturday Night Main Event.
Nope.
Speaking about a freaking Logan Paul, we got to talk about that after this stuff. He's not showing up to a freaking goddamn thing. He got the match on Saturday. It's happening at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Promos aren't there.
But I think there's going to be something that happens in that Raw match, and the match is taking place on Raw. That championship match is going to take place on Raw. There's going to be something that happens with, I think, Goldberg interference, which is going to lead to Goldberg versus Gunther at Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia, because they're going to pay Goldberg big money to be there, on top of what WWE is going to pay him to be there. So,
of course,
for some reason, Goldberg still draws in Saudi.
Yeah. Well, now that we know that that's going to be Night of Champions in Saudi, absolutely he'll be in Saudi.
I like this graphic 6. The only thing, this looks like an in memoriam for Michael Cole. It looks like Michael Cole died. Like the only thing it's missing is like Michael Cole doing like prayer hands with a halo above his head.
It looks like the Carlito.
I can do that. I can make that.
It does look like the Carlito, in memoriam after Braun breaks the spirit out of it.
Spirit his soul out of his body.
But it looks like this was the Michael Cole in memoriam match.
Yep.
That's fucking funny.
If Gunther got his hand on him,
I just picked up on that too.
That's just funny.
Then we had our undisputed WWE Championship match. John Cena retaining over Randy Orton. Dom Cena with R-Truth. Matt just Cena. I think, the R-Truth thing was funny. Nobody called all the ref bumps. I just think that was sloppy. I still stand that match was sloppy with all the ref botches and the refs getting taken out left and right. No other refs coming out. And
they had a third ref.
You had the ref come out with the Becky Lynch match, like Styx was saying. The Becky Lynch match, you had the other guys come out.
And the other, the color.
Come on, you had two. That's what you come on.
Yeah, you could have had the female ref come out. Like there was so many refs that could have come out at that point.
I don't think the female ref is going to come out, but at least the other third ref should come out.
Look, we all know, we all knew that he was going to lose. There's no way. But Styx almost came close to the fact that John Cena would have lost. He would have got his back. John Cena would have back the next month, the next pay-per-view. That would have been good. Yeah, that would have been.
But effectively, Backlash goes down as the last time we see John Cena versus Randy Orton.
Maybe.
They're gonna I still stand by that. They're gonna hit the highlights, man. You're gonna get, of course, you're gonna get R-Truth because him and Cena have this whole thing. So you're gonna get R-Truth versus him at Saturday Night Main Event, and then it's gonna be, they're gonna hit the highlight matches, and I don't think we'll see any repeats. But all right, here's our results. I had 60 points. Pete had 30. Dub had 20. Ooh, Dub. Where are you, Dub? Styx had 70. And Styx has 80. Dom had 70. Styx had to give himself 10 points on a technicality.
What technicality? Go back to the tape.
Go back to the tape.
Roll that tape back.
But that means that Styx is your Backlash new
Congratulations.
IWC champion with an 80 total points.
He paid people big time money in Doctor Who cash.
On Backlash.
He used a lot of gratzes. Yes.
Yeah.
Good job on you, Styx. All right, before we move on, what do you want to talk about with Logan Paul there, Dom?
I was saying, where's Logan Paul? He was supposed to show up on Monday night. What happened to him?
He's off being a social media icon.
And that's why you had Gunther go in the ring with Jey Uso again.
Yep.
It's like
like I said, I think that's gonna work towards. I don't know. I'm not happy about getting Jey Uso Gunther 5 because you have to have Uso. We all know Uso's beaten Logan Paul at Saturday Night Main Event. You have to have Uso beat him again when they face off for the title. That's where you insert Goldberg leading into Night of Champions. You have Goldberg, have Gunther go over in Saudi Arabia, send Goldberg off into the sunset.
You know what's going to happen? The ref is going to get knocked out. Gunther's going to fight Jey Uso. Goldberg's going to come out, spear him, pick him up, and do the jackhammer, get him down, and then put the Jey Uso on him, wake up the referee. The referee's going to get up and count them out.
I think it's going to be more like Goldberg's in the crowd, kind of like what we saw before, and Gunther's going to beat down Jey Uso, and then Gunther's going to talk shit to Goldberg, and then Gunther's going to go for the pin, and Goldberg's going to spear him, and then throw Jey Uso on top of him. Yeah. That's what I think is going to happen, but we'll see. I think there's going to be some shenanigans abound there.
Of course, there is always, and that's the main event. That's going to be the main event Monday night.
But all right, let's get into our Monday Night Raw review from probably what has been the worst, in my opinion, episode of Raw in a while. The Raw.
Hold on.
5-12.
Go ahead. Before we get to Raw, did you want to talk about the media scrum with Cena?
Oh yeah, we can talk about the media scrum.
Yeah.
So at the end of the media scrum, Triple H is out talking, and Cena comes out, whispers in his ear. Does he want to say something to the media? Sits down, starts talking to the media. Out comes R-Truth, and the shit hits the fan with R-Truth there.
Well, actually, what I want to talk about too, that you just remind me, Styx, is I want your guys' opinion on: are we starting to see the moment of all this become too big for Cena? Are we kind of starting to see the heel armor in Cena crack? Are we starting to get ready to see our glimpses of his face turn, his baby face turn with what happened as the show? I know you guys had commercials, but I'm sure you probably got to see it since then of Cena standing there after he won the match. He sets the title down. He's looking at the title. The crowd starts chanting, "Thank you, Cena." And he kind of smiles a little bit.
Smirks a little bit, yeah.
And he kind of stands there, and it's like he's taking a moment. And it feels like he's realizing that this is the final time, that this is it, that, you know, during the show, the crowd's going to rock with him and give him what the reaction he wants for the character. But since the show was over, they're going to show that their appreciation to still show, hey, we're still here. We're still behind you. No matter what you're doing in the ring, we can differentiate the situation in the ring and the situation in what you're trying to accomplish here.
Yep. Definitely.
And it was very interesting, that somber kind of display and walk to the back after the match. And even when R-Truth came out and he kind of had Cena laughing a little bit. Cena was smirking and having a good time. And it was kind of like Cena remembered that the fans were behind him. And then R-Truth reminded him with his comments, reminded him of why he made this heel turn and why he did what he did. And that's when he stood up and told Truth, you know, one more word and there's going to be consequences. And of course, R-Truth, being R-Truth, had to say one more thing, and he got put through a table in the media scrum.
Yep.
And thankfully, he got put through a table before anybody could ask him what his Waffle House order is. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But yeah, it was an interesting caveat. And I think, like I said, it's going to build towards R-Truth versus John Cena at Night of Champions. I'm sure we'll probably get that build on Raw this coming Monday a little bit.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, it shows that he probably would have turned back because of the accolade and what was going on, and he's trying to be sincere with the media. Oh, I may not have been saying the right things to you guys. I'd like to apologize. And that's when, before he even gets the apology out, R-Truth comes out. So, I mean, that shows you. It gives you the seed that he's given the right circumstances, he's probably going to turn back the face.
Yeah, but he was very on the for the crowd and in the media saying, I shouldn't. You guys are here and we should be talking about this and yada yada yada. So it's interesting, to say the least.
Fair one. I enjoyed that media. I thought that was good. Good spot.
But all right, you guys ready for Raw?
Let's do it.
Our review of Monday Night Raw from May 12th, 2025. The show opened with CM Punk. He's pissed at what happened with Paul Heyman. Jey Uso warned Punk about him. But Paul is Paul, and he's a fat little snake. But that's not new to him. He's coming from for his enemies, and he can't wait to get his hands around Heyman's fat little neck. How can it be fat and little? Fat little neck. Paul Heyman interrupts him before he makes his way to the ring. Punk tells him that whatever words he uses, they will be his last. Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker join him inside. Wasn't it interesting, at least to me anyways, that Paul Heyman isn't doing the talking? Seth Rollins is doing the talking.
Right.
Paul Heyman is not that mouthpiece anymore.
Well, the whole fact is he did that with Roman Reigns talks a couple of times. He said in the back, or he does talk. He just said Seth Rollins. So you're gonna have Seth Rollins silent. Seth Rollins is great on the mic.
He is amazing on the mic.
Amazing on the mic. So you could have him back and forth. I think he'll talk when Seth is not there and he's with Braun Breaker. He'll do more talking with Braun Breaker because I think Braun Breaker still needs some work.
But even with the bloodline, Paul did most of the talking. Yeah, Reigns interjected every once in a while, but Paul was that mouthpiece, and he's not that mouthpiece. He's not the one calling the shots. He's just kind of looming in the background. And Seth is the one calling the shots. Seth is the one that gave direction to Braun Breaker. Yeah. Seth is kind of the one that's, interacted with everything.
Seth doesn't need the person behind him to be.
Yeah, he truly needs him for his knowledge and not his mic skills.
Yeah. In retrospect, the person who does need the person behind him to be the talker is Solo Sikoa.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Quite frankly, yeah, because he every day he just doesn't do well on the mic. He's gotten better. He's gotten better.
But you know, there's some people.
Heyman would be the guy for him. Totally. If you want a mouthpiece.
Rollins says when he thought Punk couldn't get more egotistical, he finds a way. Paul Heyman was his best friend and made his life hell on the road to WrestleMania. Stop trying to gaslight everyone and making them believe Heyman betrayed him. Seth can't hate him any more than he does, and he would be world champion right now if it weren't for him. Punk promises he will never be world champion so long as he's on his 2 feet. Rollins figured it out. Punk desperately wants to play the victim and die a martyr. Seth believes that he can be arrogant and that can be arranged, and he hopes that, he said his last words. Braun Breaker enters the ring to take the fight to Punk. Rollins joins them and gives them numbers advantage. Sami Zayn shows up to even the odds, but it isn't enough. Before Rollins can destroy Punk with a steel chair, Jey Uso pops up from nowhere to super kick Rollins. The babyfaces get their own steel chairs and send the heels packing. I think this is pretty much a guarantee that we're getting a third member to this group because the baby faces have 3. The heels are going to need to have 3. Or do you guys line yourself with the rest of the IWC, and do you think Sami Zayn's going to turn on Punk and Zayn's going to join them? Do you see Zayn going heel, or do you see them keeping him babyface?
All right. You know what the funny thing is about that? You talk about that. So there's been a lot of the rap sheets have been talking about that Sami Zayn, is a possibility. Also, the other possibility is McIntyre. But the third possibility, and I've been saying it for quite a while, who do you think I always wanted on the team to come on the team?
Ethan Page.
Yep. So we can definitely. It's one of those 3 guys that might be.
I've heard a lot of people speculating in Logan Paul.
No, Logan Paul, I heard, but I don't think that's a thing. But the 3 people that they're definitely saying is that there's a possibility that Sami Zayn might turn on them and join the faction. But the two guys that are in the running is McIntyre and Ethan Page. And it's
I wouldn't mind Ethan Page.
I wouldn't mind. You put Ethan Page there. He's like the Randy Orton, like the evolution, the young guy in the group that's learning from everybody, and that's.
I don't know. With Ethan's gimmick of being all ego, I don't think he's a group guy.
Look, you don't know. Listen, all ego can turn out to be something that fits in there. You need you need that guy like Randy Orton. Randy Orton was part of he did his own thing, but then when he wound up getting betrayed by Triple H, he made life miserable for Triple H and Batista and stuff like that. So I could see Ethan Page down the road, something like that happening to Ethan Page and giving Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, being a thorn in their side. So I think it's great to have a young guy like that, and it would fit perfectly. Yes, he has an ego, but that you think about it, you don't think that Seth Rollins has an ego?
He does.
Oh yeah, but that's not his moniker though.
I know, but it would.
I'm just going by them.
But look, you put McIntyre. You think McIntyre has a freaking ego? McIntyre, so
I'm not saying nobody else has an ego, Dom. I'm just saying.
I know.
As his gimmick being all ego.
I know. But you know what? Things change. You get him a championship.
That's true. You're right.
Yeah, or tag team championship with Braun Breaker for now, and Seth Rollins is going for the championship. Things like that to try to build up the equity of the guys. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, they could. That's the rumors that are going on. They could change and somebody else to join the fray. You have like LA Knight can join them. You don't know. So there could be a different thing. Things change. WWE is very funny and very fickle because they'll say one thing and then change it. So we'll see. But definitely they need a third guy.
Then we saw our first match tonight was Penta versus Chad Gable, with Penta picking up the win over El Grande Americano. Chad Gable. Dominic Mysterio asked Finn Balor about why he hesitated with the steel chair at Backlash. Balor tells him not to be paranoid. and that he's taking care of AJ Styles tonight. And he even says you're starting to sound like Damian and Rhea when they were champions. So they're kind of giving you that groundwork, those little morsels of a Finn Balor turn coming very, very soon.
Well, apparently the whole thing with Finn Balor, there's been reports and there's been a lot of like speculation of AJ Styles and Finn Balor forming a new group with Roxanne and Julia, as well as JD Madonna. So, you know,
if they're not going to give me a WWE Bullet Club, and I don't want it to be called Balor Club, I don't want to be called The Club. I want Bullet Club, but I'm sure. Well, I don't know if New Japan has that trademarked or not, but I want Bullet Club.
It's a different country though, but I don't know if they can use the word bullet.
That's probably true. That's probably why it's never been called Bullet Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the politically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we have listen. All right, we had the War Raiders versus American Made. I'm tired of seeing the War Raiders. What happened to the War Raiders, man? Like, the only thing that made that match entertaining was the fact that New Day was on commentary. And then the New Day were going back and forth with Pat McAfee and Michael Cole.
Hey, speaking about the New Day, did you see when Becky Lynch was coming out? You had Karrion Kross in the back
rest in peace,
selling his freaking merchandise to New Day, his shirts in the background. Because every time you see them in the background, there's something to take out of that background situation.
Oh yeah. There's always something.
Karrion Kross with New Day?
Oh. No.
I don't know about all that, but I'm just tired of watching the War Raiders, and I'm kind of sick of the Creed brothers too. Raw has no tag team division. Got a Becky fan, Becky. Backstage, Seth Rollins tries to motivate Braun Breaker. He also gives an unheard instruction, which seems to perk up Breaker. During the break, Grayson Waller apologizes to Austin Theory for surprising him with a match against Sheamus last week. It's okay because Theory went to Adam Pearce and got Waller a match against Sheamus next week. Oh, a joy.
Yeah, that's going to
Raw tag teams suck. Yes, they do.
Listen, they suck. They need a clear vision with the tag team division in Raw. SmackDown, you have some good tag teams, but the tag teams that we clown for, nobody Faxium is going to be the next big tag team in SmackDown. And you have the Street Profits. Yeah, you have them that they came straight through from NXT. The riffraff of taking people and putting them together, trying to make a damn tag team is out of hand. If you have natural tag teams,
all your natural tag teams are on SmackDown.
Yeah,
Motor City Machine Guns.
Yep.
DIY.
Yep.
Who else? Street Profits. Fraxium. Pretty Deadly.
Yep.
You've got no real tag team guys on SmackDown. So, Jey Uso talks Logan Paul after Saturday night's main event. He will still be, and he is interrupted by Gunther with a smirk on his face. He says the unimaginable came true. For the first time since that moment, they meet again. Jey reminds Gunther he tapped out. He understands there's a lot of pressure on him as champion, but his opinion hasn't changed. Unlike him, Jey Uso is not a natural champion. I'm surprised he hasn't spread the news yet. The winner of the Jey Uso versus Logan Paul will have the honor to hand the title to its rightful owner on June 9th episode of Raw. Again, I don't want to see Gunther versus Jey Uso 5, but I think we're leading. That match is going to be used for the catalyst for Gunther versus Goldberg.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yep.
During the break, Adam Pearce made the World Tag title match a triple threat match with the New Day defending against the War Raiders and American Made. Yawn Fest. After we return from break, we see Braun Breaker viciously blindside Jey Uso backstage. Medics are called to seek to the world champion. Then our third match of the night was AJ Styles versus Finn Balor, with AJ Styles picking up the assist from Penta. I thought that was actually a really good match. It could have went a little bit longer. But it was interesting to see Penta win, and I think we're leading towards Chad Gable versus. There's going to be something involving Chad Gable at either AAA or Worlds Collide.
Yep.
I think Chad Gable versus El Grande Americano.
Yeah, I think El Grande Americano versus the World at Triple Mania.
Yeah, you're right. And Gunther might be versus Goldberg. That's definitely so I figure. James actually figures.
After that match, an episode, Becky Lynch tells us that she wasn't beaten on Sunday. One of them was taken to the hospital while the other enjoyed a great night. After Lyra Valkyria attacked her character, Becky gave her the best match of her career, and she has not mattered more in her entire life. But when the bell rings, she didn't hear defeat. She heard herself being manipulated by all these fans. The last time she was champion, they wanted her to leave, so she went away. Becky has to thank them for her career, and they were together all the way to the main event of WrestleMania. Everything changed when she won, though, because they could no longer relate. When she was away, she was asked if she missed being in the ring. She did, but she hadn't missed having to listen to all the fans' lies. Whatever they say is that what she's going to do and going to be. All those girls in the back who are happy she was gone, they will finally realize what it's like to be held down by the man. Chad Gable is going to NXT. I don't know about that. He's kind of killing it right now as El Grande Americano. Then we had Io Sky and Rhea Ripley versus Roxanne Perez and Julia in our main event of Raw. Raw had 4 matches this week.
4 matches, but you know what? The fight, Julia, Roxanne Perez, Io Sky, and Rhea Ripley was pretty good.
I don't think Becky's going anywhere anytime soon. James Action Figure says, I don't want Becky to leave. I'm her biggest fan. I'm glad she's back.
Yeah.
I liked seeing Rhea do the Io's little meme.
I like that. You know, it's kind of cute. It's cute when she does it. The whole fact is that I like Io Sky. I think she's cute, and when she does that, I like that. But you see the tension between Roxanne and Julia now. And Roxanne,
that was very interesting that Julia already is like, get out of here to Roxanne.
Told her, he goes, there is no we.
Yeah.
And she walked away. So we'll see. We'll see what transpires with that.
It was a good match. Rhea Ripley definitely let Io Sky know that she was still there. She's still hanging around. She's coming back. She's not forgetting about the title anytime soon, but it also was a good showcase for Raw's new talent in Julia and Roxanne Perez.
Yep.
I can't wait. I can't wait for Stephanie to get called up. I think it's going to happen very, very soon when she drops the belt to Jordynne Grace.
Yep. And those the merchandise in WWE is going to be selling. The Devil's Kiss. You're going to see a button shot.
You just need to get that on a shirt, Dom.
Oh, I got to get it, man. The Devil's Kiss. I'll give it
the Devil's Kiss.
But
all right.
I'll give her more than a Devil's Kiss.
I already gave my review of Raw. I thought it was the worst Raw in weeks since WrestleMania, or since before WrestleMania. I'm going to give it probably a D+. What did you guys think of Raw this week?
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, Dom.
I think I gave it I was going to give it a B+. I just bumped it to an A because I like the fact that, the new talent's coming in there. The main event was good. It was enjoyable. And the Finn Balor and AJ Styles match was good.
Nice.
Building that up to be, the babyface Finn Balor. Looks like that he might be turning face with that, becoming good. So
I don't know about that.
Like I said, there's a lot of possibilities, and like I said, after we see the draft in the next couple of weeks, we'll get a clear picture of what's going to be. Because they're going to be breaking up the whole Judgment Day.
Yeah.
You don't know because everybody can go their separate ways. I give it an A.
An A, huh? James Action Figure Toys gave it a B+. What about you, Styx?
I'm gonna give it a B. The matches that we got were, they were good. Some of the stuff that we got, non-wrestling, the mic work.
I think it'll be a couple more weeks before Liv Morgan returns.
Yeah. The movies.
Yeah.
She's doing that movie.
Probably Money in the Bank. Or for Money in the Bank. So it was a slow episode. That's my only contingent to the episode. It felt slow, so that's why I gave it a B.
Yeah, let's see. What is really funny? Come on, Carlito asked you friggin' Raquel if you could borrow a credit card and give it back to money. That was funny. I had to laugh at that. Listen. There's a lot of speculation. I know Judgment Day is probably at its last minutes now. I think, either Finn is going to turn good, or Dom is going to turn good, or it's vice versa. We don't know what the story is going to be. Like I said, the draft is going to probably take a lot away from that. We'll see, but I can see there could be some tension with Roxanne with Raquel and Liv in the near future.
That's an interesting statement, James. I don't know if I could call AEW okay when you have Ricochet, who left WWE because he wanted more opportunity and wanted matches, and then he shows up on AEW, been nothing but a joke, terrible mic work, and now he's wrestling a one-legged man.
Well, wait, how come what's his name, Baby Orton from NXT, figured cuts a better promo than he does.
and Baby Orton's deaf.
Exactly. That's great.
I like Raquel Rodriguez. She's another one of my fellow Texans. Nice.
Nice.
All right, so that's Raw. Take us into NXT.
Texas, man.
NXT for May 13th, 2025.
My cousin's in Texas, so.
We started with a promo from No Quarter Catch Crew opening the show with Miles Bourne addressing how he is how he's partially deaf, and how he could still hear the crowd going crazy when he shocked the world and won the Battle Royal last week. He doesn't want to be known by his disability, but judged by his abilities. Ethan Page interrupts to talk trash about how Bourne is pandering. Charlie Dempsey suggests Bourne should face Page to silence the doubters by facing a former NXT champion. Ava came out to make it official with the number one contendership on the line. We saw Obafemi defeat Charlie Dempsey by pinfall. Backstage, Carmen Petrovich thanked Thea Hale for having her back last week, which sent Tatum Paxley into a tantrum for losing everything since her husband, Javier Barnell, and her two teammates, Shotzi and Gigi Dolan, were released. We saw Wesley defeat Tony D'Angelo by pinfall, due to a part to the Stacks showing up on the Titantron to say he knew where Adriana Rizzo's safe house is and was going to pay her a visit. We got a promo from Stephanie Valkyrie starting to speak about Jordan Grace when she was interrupted by Fatal Influence, Fallon Henley, and JC Jane. No NYX for some reason, but tensions is still going to be on between Haley and Jane. Even while they're bad-mouthing Valkyrie, Grace then came out and everyone kind of took jabs at each other. In an awkward segment that just sort of ended, everybody felt off here. You want to be Tatum Paxley's friend? Nice. You didn't watch NXT because your neighbor had a barbecue from 6 p.m. till 9? That's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, that's good. Hey, listen.
I'd rather go to the barbecue too.
Right?
Yeah, but I also want the back shots of the
Hope they have ribs. I like ribs.
I don't know. I'll shoot her a DM and I'll ask her for you. I don't know if Fallon Henley is single or not. The Undertaker, Bubba Ray Dudley talked to Tyra May Steele and Xena Sterling backstage about how they earned the right to wrestle in Madison Square Garden this weekend for the finals of LFG. Izzy Dame and Nikita Lyons interrupted to say, "Good luck lasting an hour in our locker room," which I'm surprised Nikita Lyons. She's been very injury prone. How did she survive the
cuts?
The cuts,
That's
yeah.
True. I don't know. You know what? Like I said, she does have a lot of talent, though. It's sad that she does get hurt a lot, but she was on fire before she got hurt. The first time with her knee, She was doing good. She cuts good promos. She does all that stuff. I don't know. They give it a chance. Because remember, there's another wave of cuts coming soon. So.
Lola Vice and Lash Legend, as well as others, stood around to intimidate them. Taker said whoever wins will have their work cut out for them. She is very talented, but she just is very injury prone. And if Dakota Kai really got cut because of age and injury prone, I can't believe Nikita Lyons is still around because she's had lots of injury issues too. Stat got the jump on D'Angelo and wants to finish the Don at Battleground. I missed some. We had Tony D'Angelo got into a car to head to Rizzo. And we had the number 1 contenders match. Miles Bourne defeated Ethan Page by pinfall. Super Sean Legacy put out a challenge for Javon Evans on a tweet video. Then Javon Evans was talking to Ashanti, the Adonis, who said that the indie guys aren't worth their time and that he'd smoke both of them. Ricky Saints overheard all of this and suggested he talk to Ava, and the winner between Adonis and Evans could get a title shot for the North American Championship at Battleground. All right, now back to what I missed. Thea Hale defeated Tatum Paxley by disqualification, as Paxley has just lost it and wasn't listening to the referee, trying to gouge Hale's eyes out. Jada Parker was watching the feed backstage and is happy that happened to Thea Hale. Kalani Jordan came over to talk to Sol Ruka and Zariah, so Parks pieced out. Jordan's upset over Zariah spearing her through a barricade. Ruka apologizes, but Zariah said there's no reason to apologize, and if she ran back and they can ran back again, the same result would happen. Jordan suggests a rematch with a title shot at Battleground on the line, and it was on. Then we got our contract signing between Joe Hendry and Trick Williams. Hank Walker and Tank Ledger talked to Joshua Briggs in the locker room, who is feeling down about his tag team partner leaving. Sean Spears then said, "You don't appreciate what you've got until it's gone," and then said he was talking about Brooke Jensen calling Briggs a cancer to the relationship, and they should change that before it consumes him. Briggs has a really good idea about how to clear his head, and Spears snickers and walks off. Ava spoke to Kale Dixon, who wants a tag match that's going to happen next week in Madison Square against OTM. And Stephanie Vakir and Jordan Grace defeated Fatal Influence by pinfall with Grace over Jane. Grace and Vakir then had a stare off inside the ring. Backstage, Ethan Page attacked Ricky Saints to prove that he isn't done yet with him as NXT went off the air. I don't know if Sol Ruka is turning heel. I don't think so. I don't see it happening yet. But I do think if she wants to be credibly taken seriously as the Women's North American champion, she needs to get out from behind Zariah. That's just my opinion. I don't know. What do you feel about that, Styx? Good. I think you're muted, Styx.
Damn. I don't necessarily think she needs to come out from her, but she definitely needs to step up what she's going to be doing going forward.
What did you guys think of NXT this week? Did you like it? Did you tolerate it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What's your grade on NXT?
Listen, I always like NXT. I think there's a lot of nice talent that's on there, and a lot of the future is definitely right there, showcasing itself. I gave it an A. I give it an A. Because of, like I said, there's a lot of things happening, and I think when the move does happen with the draft, a lot more talent that's there is actually getting pushed up more to the front to show their talents. The North American Championship will probably be displayed more. You're going to have Jordan Grace, where she wins the belt off of Stephanie, which I wish she didn't, but we know that Stephanie is going to happen. Main roster, hopefully, so you're going to have that down there. So there's more opportunity, and a lot more players will be taking shape as I move along. So
Who takes the belt off of Lyra Valkyria first, Stephanie or Julia? Because you know with those two, one of
Julia.
those two is going for that belt.
Oh
I
yeah,
think Julia.
You think Julia?
I actually think Stephanie. I think Stephanie. I think the talent they got in Stephanie is, and don't get me wrong, Julia is friggin' a big talent. I see Julia winning more of like the Intercontinental or U.S. Championship. I think Stephanie definitely goes for the big time with the belt. But that's why I'm thinking that there could be a situation where you have somebody go to SmackDown, even though I know Raw needs the talent, SmackDown, and you have them win the U.S. Championship and the other win the Intercontinental Championship. So both could have belts. So I could see that happening. We'll see. But they're both going to be definitely in the picture, the championship picture.
Megan Bain is
Fast.
stronger than
Definitely fast.
I give NXT an A. The only thing that kept it off of being an A plus for me was I'm not really into what they're doing with the family right now. It seems clunky to me, but we'll see how it steps up going forward. But I give it an A. Again, I think it's the better brand of the WWE universe.
I am also a Paul Heyman guy.
Yeah, definitely. Paul Heyman's a genius, man.
I actually, dude, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to give NXT like a C plus.
Really?
The only thing NXT that's got my interest right now is what's going on with Stephanie and Jordan. That's it. I don't really care about it. Well, and Joe Hendry versus Trick Williams, but even then, like, I don't care about anything going on with Obafemi. There's not really much going on around that title picture right now.
No.
Ricky Saints, I still am a Ricky Saints guy, but they haven't really been pushing Ricky Saints kind of the way I was hoping they were going to. He's kind of done a lot more backstage than he's done in the ring. There's just not a whole lot. Like I think Sol Ruka having that women's United States or North American championship right now is kind of stalled out the women's division as far as that title goes. I just kind of think NXT's, and I guess it's to be expected with all the releases that just happened as they bring new people in and things get shuffled around. But I just feel like NXT has kind of lost its luster right now. Lola Vice hasn't wrestled that much. Yeah. I just think that like we're kind of in that transition and hopefully it gets better, but I just kind of feel like this week's NXT was lackluster. Like it left a lot to be desired. And it feels like they're just spinning their wheels with Trick Williams.
I think what's going on, Matt, all kidding aside, I think they're getting ready for this draft. I think they're going to take a lot of players from NXT. I think a lot of people are coming to the main roster, more people than you expect. That's why I think there's a lot of lackluster stuff and things aren't being played just yet because the cards they're shuffling the cards to see what happens. But Lola Vice, Trick Williams, possibly Ethan Page.
But if Trick's already getting lost in the shuffle on NXT, why bring him up to get lost in the shuffle on the main roster?
I don't know because they're going to do it because I got a feeling he's going to wind up. I think he's going to wind up teaming with Carmelo Hayes, and I think they're gonna wind up teaming up to get the tag team championships. I think that's going to be one of the big pushes when he does come up because he's a heel. He'll be coming up as a heel, and you have that going. You push him there. To be with Carmelo. And then, like the people that are lackluster now that you see that Ethan Page is losing, all these things, I think it's just a big play that these handful of people definitely come up to the main roster. They made room. There's a lot of room for the main roster now to come in, and there's going to be all the good, because what they're going to do is they're going to deplete SmackDown. Most of the good players on SmackDown are going to come over to Raw because with the Netflix stuff like that, they want that to be the flagship show. And you're going to have all these newcomers that are coming up to SmackDown that are going to be making a run, making the show moving forward. So,
Joey Janela is your favorite wrestler. What did you think of his match with Sabu at Joey Janela's Spring Break 9? I wonder if Tatum Paxley has a brother or sister. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. You're probably right. I mean, I'm gonna learn to not disagree with you on a lot of this stuff because you're usually right. But I don't, Dom's dirt sheets has got his ears to the streets. So I don't know. I'm not a, to me, all right, I'm going to be brutally honest. And this is just my opinion. And I'm probably going to get crucified for this. But I think Trick Williams is basic. I don't think there's anything that stands out about Trick Williams. He hasn't really had that match that like wows me, it's not like Cedric Alexander did, or, any of these, a lot of these other guys, or Carmelo Hayes, even like Trick Williams just hasn't really had that match that's wowed me. It's been pretty basic. I kind of think he's just basic, and that's not bad. Like, but it's not like, I don't see the push behind him. Like,
yeah,
I don't, kind of like Velveteen, like what's Trick Williams' character? Like they used to say, I mean, bring his name up, Velveteen Dream, and his character would never work on the main roster. But what's Trick Williams' character, and how is that going to work on the main roster? We already have that. It's called Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. I mean, I like Trick Williams, but he hasn't really done anything that's really stood out to wow me to be like, I can't wait for him to be on the main roster. He's going to come to the main roster and get this massive push. Like, there's got to be, like, I feel like he's got to reinvent himself if he's going to come to the main roster.
Yes.
Get that big push.
Definitely on that. I understand that. But he was a 2-time champion.
He was.
He was a face, and now he's a heel, and now he's going to fight Joe Hendry as a complimentary fight, because Joe Hendry contract is almost up with TNA, and he's definitely coming to the main roster too. So I could see this is just a preview of what is to come when he does come into the main roster. So we'll see. Like I said, you come to the main roster, you have to reinvent yourself to really get a push. That's the main roster way. We've seen all the people that got buried that came from NXT that was fantastic, that came to the main roster and became mediocre and obscurity now. You got to come here. You got to have you have to have a catchphrase. You have to have a main goal on who you are as a character, and what can you give to the product that's going to be, wow, this guy's good. So both Carmelo and both Trick Williams, fantastic on NXT. They found their way in NXT. Carmelo kind of lost his way in the main roster. Can't find that Trick Williams. Hopefully he comes to the main roster. You can find that. Maybe putting him with Carmelo Hayes together when they do get together in the main roster can give them the push that they need. But like I said, I understand, like the NXT, you get the spotlight, you come here, and then you get overlooked. But then again,
and that's what I'm afraid of, is that Trick is just going to be another name on the list of NXT call-ups that get pushed and buried in the mid card forever. Like, it's taking they literally paired Carmelo Hayes with the Miz because they've got nothing else for him.
Well, he had the great fight with Andrade. He had that whole 7-for-7 match that he had. That was great. But like I said, I think the shuffling around, I could see him coming to Raw.
Carmelo's he's a great talent. He's just not getting any shine.
I see him coming to Raw and maybe getting more of the shine and more of the shots in Raw that he did in SmackDown.
He needs something.
So we'll see. Like I said, we'll see. We got a couple of weeks before the draft, a couple of weeks before things do heat up and happen. But I'm telling you, man, they're gonna pull a lot of people from NXT, man. And it's gonna be like SmackDown is gonna get a NXT renaissance because a lot of those big characters are coming over to Raw.
Well, I mean, and I guess you're gonna have to, because now they're gonna have these LFG people, and they're gonna have to call up their crop of talent from Evolve, and
they're going to NXT. They're going to NXT. They're the next wave in NXT, and that's why I'm saying there's a lot of players that are becoming coming into the fold. So we'll see. We'll see. It should be interesting.
All right. That's it for our reviews this week. Because like I said, I'm not talking about AEW. I don't know if we'll talk about AEW again until they do something that's impressive. Right now, it's just sputtering. It's just sputtering. So we're going to hand it over to Dom. You don't get Netflix. That's no good.
No.
We're going to hand it off to Dom to give us our spotlight. And yeah, let's see. One moment.
Step into the rain. The crowd is low. Spotlight of a hero, standing fierce and proud.
All right, Dom, tell us, who is our spotlight on this week?
This week, we lost a mega star, the icon, a legend in wrestling. So why not have Sabu as the spotlight for the spotlight today, and get
Fantastic
to know.
Call, Dom. I wish I would have thought of that myself.
I know, right, man? A little birdie told me to do this, and it was a good idea, really. So without further ado, let's just go up to
the homicidal, genocidal, suicidal maniac, Sabu.
Sabu. All right, Sabu was Terry Michael Brunk, December 12th, 1964, and he passed away on May 11th, 2025. He was better known in the ring name as Sabu. So he had, Sabu, the Elephant Boys, Sabu, Terry Essler and Terry Snuka,
yeah.
So he debuted in 1985 and retired in 2025. Short-lived retirement, which really blows me because he didn't really get a chance to enjoy retirement.
Well, I mean, the way he put his body, of course.
I know. But so he was best known working for Extreme Championship Wrestling and ECW, Total Nonstop Wrestling, TNA, World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE, on their ECW brand. He was known for competing for hardcore type matches. He was trained by his uncle, Ed Farhat, who was better known ring name as The Sheik. On November 5th, 2021, Sabu announced that what happened there?
You just
okay. I did double talking. On November 20th, he was traveling from wrestling. He would come out of retirement in All Elite Wrestling Double or Nothing pay-per-view in 2023. On April 18, 2025, Sabu wrestled his last match at the Game Changer Wrestling Joey Janela's Spring Break 9. He died weeks later on May 11th, 2025 at age 60. So here's the list of championships that he had through his career. And it's pretty impressive, where he's been, what he won. He won the Asylum Championship Wrestling, the ACW Heavyweight Championship. He won the Cutting Edge Wrestling. He was in Cutting Edge Wrestling, the CEW Newfoundland Heritage Championship. Hardcore Championship Wrestling. He won the HCW Heavyweight Championship. Border City Wrestling, the BCW Can-Am Heavyweight Championship. The Eastern Championship Wrestling, Extreme Championship Wrestling. He fought in, so it was the FTW Heavyweight Championship, the ECW Heavyweight Championship, the ECW World Tag Team Championships, the ECW World Television Championship. He also the National Wrestling Alliance, NWA Independent World Heavyweight Championship, the NWA Florida wrestles, and the NWA World Heavyweight Championship for that. He was also National Wrestling Conference. He won the NWC Heavyweight Championship. New Japan Pro Wrestling. He won the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. The UWA World Junior Light Heavyweight Championship. In Pro Wrestling in Holland, Pro Wrestling Holland Championship. He was ranked in Pro Wrestling Illustrated. He was ranked 5 of the top 500 single wrestlers in the PWI 500 in 1995. He was also ranked 86 in the top 500 wrestlers in the PWI years in 2003. Let me see. In Extreme Wrestling Alliance, he won the EWA Junior Heavyweight Championship. In the European Wrestling Association, he won the EWA Junior Heavyweight Championship. In Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling, he won the FMW Martial Arts World Tag Team Championship. Insane Wrestling Federation, he won the IWF Heavyweight Championship. The Juggernaut Championship. Championship Wrestling, he won the JCW Heavyweight Championship. Main Event Championship Wrestling, he won the MECW Heavyweight Championship. Motor City Wrestling, he won the MCW Heavyweight Championship 3 times. In the Universal Wrestling Alliance, he won the UWA Heavyweight Championship. In the World Wrestling Council, he won the WWC Hardcore Championship, the WWC Universal Heavyweight Championship. Wrestling Observer's Newsletter Awards, he Reader's Favorite Wrestler in 1994. Extreme Intense Championship Wrestling, the XICW Extreme Championship. The Extreme Latin American Wrestling, he won the Law International Championship. The Extreme Pro Wrestling, he won the XPW World Heavyweight Championship. He won the Progression Championship, the PCW TV Championship. He was also the Pain Pro Wrestling 3PW World Heavyweight Championship. He also wrestled Stampede Wrestling, Stampede Pacific Heavyweight Championship. He won. Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. He got the Match of the Year 2005. The Barbed Wire Massacre in December 11th. So that was that big wrestling right there.
Versus Abyss.
Abyss, yep. Ultimate Championship Wrestling. He won the UCW Heavyweight Championship. The UPW Pro Wrestling, he won the UPW American Championship. The United States Extreme Wrestling, he won the UXW United States Heavyweight Championship. And that is it, man. He had a lot of wrestling matches, a lot of extreme wrestling matches. Around the world, legend, icon. He definitely is going to be missed. As we said in the beginning, definitely to lose someone that talent is like a big part of your childhood, big part of our lives watching wrestling, and to lose somebody like that. And, you know, he's up there in the gates of heaven, putting on a match right now, doing tables, ladders, and Halo match, probably up there. And,
I'm sure he jumped off the pearly gates.
The pearly gates. Going to be missed. And like I said before, man, life is short, man, and these guys put their lives on the line to entertain us. Mm-hmm. You know, yes, they're action guys, they're action stuntmen that do this for a living, actors, but they entertain us. And again, he's gonna be missed. And go back to the old tapes and watch his crazy matches, because he has some really obscure, crazy ones that you sit there and you really like, oh my God, how did he survive that? How did this happen? So,
even at 60 years old, I mean, even though there's controversy surrounding it, he put on an interesting match against Joey Janela, WrestleMania weekend. Like I said at the beginning of the show, check out his feud with Taz and their match at Barely Legal, the first pay-per-view match in the history of ECW. Check out his match with Terry Funk. There's a lot of great Sabus, and I will say again that hardcore wrestling, there's 3 names that come to mind: Terry Funk, Mick Foley, Sabu. That's hardcore wrestling to me.
And if you want collectibles, definitely has a lot of toys, a lot of figures that came out for Sabu, so they're out there.
He had a short run in WCW too. Not a lot of people know that. It was only like a 2-week run, but he had a run in WCW as well, but his run in WWE was rather short too. He did have a nice match with John Cena, so
he did.
Definitely gonna be missed. But no time tunnel this week, Styx.
No time tunnel this week.
Damn. I was hoping to see what Sabu merchandise was going for.
Yeah, I didn't have time to. Well, even if I knew we were covering Sabu, I didn't have time to do it today.
That's all right. Slacking as always, Styx.
Yep, that's me. I'll slap myself on the way.
But you were on Doctor Who stuff like that. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. You're on Doctor Who. If it was Doctor Who, you'd be all over it.
Exactly.
But all right, that's it for this week's Off the Mat. Thank you so much for everyone checking us out. Thank you so much for everyone who's liked and subscribed. Keep that on coming as we're well on our road to 1,000 subs. Thank you so much to James Actions Figures and Toys Man, as well as Joey1257 for joining us tonight. Being first timers checking us out, we definitely appreciate that. Tell your friends that we can continue to grow our channel. If you want to see more from Dom and Styx, you can do so over on one of our partner channels called Renovision. You can see Dom and Styx on Friday nights on their show. They're qualified over there talking about comic books and all kinds of crazy stuff. You can check out Styx on his channel talking about Doctor Who with the Doctor Who Rewind on Tuesday nights. You can check out me and Styx on Saturday right here and over on Renovision for Saturday Night Special. And you can check out all the other great pro wrestling content we have in this channel, which will lead you right back to here to us next Tuesday. Next Thursday. Yeah, don't forget to check out Dom on the Star Wars show, where he can talk about his one true first love in Star Wars. And on Sunday nights over on Renovision. But with that, as always, we like to kick it to Dom to take us out with some words of wisdom. So Dom, hit us with what you got this week.
Well, listen, the summertime is coming. We have a lot of free time that's coming up. And just remember, man. Remember, life is definitely very short, man. And family, family is definitely. You may not get along with family. You may have disagreements. You may have a lot of different sayings and stuff like that you don't agree on. But remember, family will always be there, no matter what the circumstances. And enjoy the vacations, enjoy the time, enjoy the live wrestling events that are out there too as well. A lot of a lot of them all over the place. They're coming. There's one in every city that's going on right now, if you really think about it. But cherish those moments, man, because they go fast, and the fun times don't last. Don't last. So always remember.
Well said, Dom. And if you want more beautiful pro wrestling content from this channel, you can probably find it here and here. Well, when this video is ending. On that note, have a great weekend. Enjoy this weekend's professional wrestling, and we'll see you right back here next Thursday night for more Off the Mat.
In the ring, the lights go down. Roaring crowd, they scream and shout. Chants echo, shaking the ground. Warriors clash, the game is found. Welcome to the show.